on the strength of that, I'll go into a Q&A now. It's 10:05. How long do you want me to do a Q&A for?
It's 11:10.
Is it?
11:10.
Oh yeah, I haven't moved my watch forward. Is it 11:10, really?
You want your watch forward?
No, seriously, I haven't moved this watch forward. Alright, well, am we going to get told off? Are we alright? Right, does anybody want to answer quick 10-minute questions?
Since you started this journey, right, have you experienced any weird stuff? Have you had your phones tapped or
No.
anything like that?
No. But then again, a lot of people said to me, keep your head down, Gary, because some researchers have died in mysterious circumstances. But I said, well, if they want to kill me, they will, and it'll make it look like an accident. But what I say to people is, if ever I've supposedly committed suicide, know for certain that I've never committed suicide, because I never will. So if I suddenly turn up suicide, you'll know that it was mysterious. Yeah. But the reality is that if somebody wants to take you out, it is like the films. Somebody can give you an injection, it won't register in a few hours, and basically look like you died of a heart attack or whatever.
Yeah.
So if they want to take you out, they'll take you out. But I've met people who become very paranoid, frightened to go out the door almost. And in reality, I'm not prepared to go down that line.
No.
I accept that it's out there, that it is a bit like Jason Bourne, maybe a bit exaggerated, but elements of it are very real. If the intelligence services want to take you out, they will. Similarly, I think one day I might get burgled, something like that. But I'm not going to worry about it.
No.
But the fact that I kind of know all these things and I'm so open, hopefully means I'm kind of like flagging up to people like you that I'll never commit suicide, that kind of thing. So it makes me less of a risk in some ways. But if they wanted to, they could certainly do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not prepared to live in a paranoid world. So, any other questions?
Yeah, but the cylinder video that you showed.
The solicitor, Harry Harris, Emil Schweitzer, the radar guy.
Cylinder.
Sorry?
Cylinder. The
Say that again.
The cylinder video.
Oh yeah, the police officers, yeah.
Police officers,
Yeah, rotated on its own axis, yeah.
Yeah, what you described there, I saw exactly the same object in Cardiff, December 2005.
Well, are you going to take my card and email me about that and fill in a report form? Because I do civilian report forms as well. So take a card, email me, we'll start a dialogue. There are always people who come to lectures. As daft as it sounds, these kind of stories are all over the place. I went to book a lecture theatre at the Civic Hall in Holmfirth for a conference. It was the first time I went in, and I saw the caretaker lady, and I said, oh, you're going to think this is a bit strange, but I want to book a lecture for UFOs. Oh no, I've seen one myself, she said. And straight away people regale into a story. And then she said, hey, my husband saw one as well, coming over the hills. And straight away you're getting all these anecdotes. Now these anecdotes are tremendously important because they're not just describing lights in the sky. The caretaker actually said that when she was a girl, 15, 16 years old, she was outside on the doorstep having a cheeky cigarette. So it's a great way to remember stuff. Right, cheeky cigarette on the doorstep, daylight, and she says this ball of light came over the rooftops, stopped, went sideways, stopped, and it was on the opposite side of the street, literally just 50 feet away, and then it suddenly went straight on. Now why is she going to make up a story like that? She didn't. And I get so many of these stories. So these anecdotes are real, but my favourite case is the pilot cases, because they just prove it in one. If a pilot in broad daylight doesn't know what he's chasing, what he's looking at, I mean, are you aware that pilots have fired on UFOs in broad daylight and nothing's happened? There's a case, I met the pilot called Colonel Oscar Santamaria, Peruvian pilot, gone on the record, on video, all the documents prove it, and basically in 1980, in daylight, he is sent up to intercept a daylight radar confirmed UFO that's just hovering. So he's sent up, like many of these other cases, and as he's approaching, he's told to shoot at what he thought was a balloon, because it looked like a balloon shape, a round sphere, basically. He thought it was a balloon, and he's told to shoot at it with his machine gun cannons. So he does, he shoots off about 64 rounds, and he sees the bullets, the tracer, hit this object, just absorbed. He's thinking, he's expecting it to blow up. But it doesn't. It then just goes straight up, 10,000 feet in about 3 seconds. Just jumps straight up. Not something we can do. So he has to get his afterburner on, get up there, to get on another run at it, and just as he's approaching his run again, it goes another 10,000 feet in 3 seconds. Oh, put it up. And it eventually does this 3 times, taking it beyond the flight ceiling of his aircraft. 70, 80,000 feet. Gentleman there.
Why do you think UFOs crash if they're so invulnerable?
No idea. No idea. It's a good question because it is an odd thing. But what they think is that certainly the early crashes, they think that was an anomaly or side effect of our radar that somehow affected the gravitational force. That's all that they speculate. In the public domain, we don't know. Some people, whistleblowers, have said that there was the radar somehow affected the guidance system of the propulsion system on the UFO. Because we think that they're using engines in a conventional sense. We think that they can do these high-speed manoeuvres because their propulsion system is based on anti-gravity.
Yeah.
They create a force field around the edge of the craft, so therefore inside we're just like flying around at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and we can do a right angle turn, but there's no inertia because it's created its own gravitational force. So wherever it goes, you're not affected by it. That's what they think, and this is why there is this talk about free energy, and another reason why it's secret, because the government. I mean, people say to me, well, why don't they land on the White House lawn? Well, the obvious answer is, if they did, they'd probably get shot. What you've got to realise is that while science is quite, I think, arrogant, many scientists will say we're the only sentient beings, blah, blah, blah. That was a big argument for many, many years. They're moving away from that now. But basically, on the scheme of things, I think we're like an ant on the ground in technological terms, in development terms, as to what they are, who might be 1,000,000 years ahead of us. We would be like, we won't talk to the ant on the ground, would we? Because the gulf in intelligence, we would say, was too great. Or, could you talk to them? It sounds daft, but if you've got something that's so advanced, I think we're very primitive. And we're very warlike. And most of the world is in turmoil. We kill each other when we could feed everybody. We, the top 2%, or is it 1%, top 2%, own most of the world over the 98% that don't. That's not right. We could do something about that, but we don't. It's a whole mess. So I think we're probably very good reasons why they mostly surveil us. I think we're very primitive. We're like pond life, I think.
Actually, I disagree with that.
Well, go on. What's your theory?
Well, I was talking about it today with a friend. I was reviewing a book I'd read, Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke.
Okay.
And he
A
starts
skeptic, by the way. UFO skeptic.
Fine.
Yep.
No problem with that.
No?
The story goes much what you said. At the end, there's a twist that we are the intelligence. We are the most developed aspect.
I think that was a product of his generation.
Well, actually, I kind of agree. I think we are, and I think the aliens are not.
I guess we'll never know.
Well, I think we will soon.
Well, I hope so. I hope. Well, to put it this way, it is coming, and this is what I say about the 2033. It's coming.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
And mainstream are going to have to catch up and readdress how they look at this, reevaluate how they look at this subject, because they're going to have to confront contact, and we are going to be the first people in official history that deal with contact. It's going to happen in many of our lifetimes for the first time ever, official contact. And they always say that it will be the biggest step for mankind, contact with another species.
Well, Mike goes on about the human species. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they was talking about aliens being here, and they said that they're here, but they're not allowed to interfere with us.
Well, I guess this goes
because the process, the human body, the aliens are not changing like us. It's only the human bodies, and we got to go through this process ourselves.
On the abduction side, there are many accounts that there's a lot of aspects to it, it's very complicated, but there would certainly appear to be some alien species are interested in reproductive organs, hybridization, fetuses being removed from abductees and then later on being reunited with them every few years when they see these half-human. So that is common all around the world, even in third world, where there's no access to media. So this is real. We can't make it up. You know, how can somebody in the middle of the Amazon, with no access to TV, radio, newspapers, effectively a third world person, recount the same event of being taken on board something and being medically examined? Where do they get that infrastructure from? That's New Zealand. Right, go on.
Rendlesham, you know.
Rendlesham, yeah.
They did say it was a lighthouse.
Okay, so let's say that's what right. Rendlesham Forest can be defined in one particular sphere.
Show you the picture.
New Zealand. Right. You don't want to look at my photos. So, right, New Zealand. No. Rendlesham Forest. In essence, when you look at the evidence for Rendlesham Forest, the fact that it's over 3 days, doesn't matter. I cut to the chase of evidence straight away. It all hinges on whether it's UFOs or not, on one aspect. Does Colonel Holt on the third night, with his 4 other officers, a lieutenant and 3 sergeants, are they in a field when an object comes towards them, stops above their heads at 1,000 feet and casts down a laser beam at their feet? There's only 2 alternatives. Either Holt and his team are lying, or it happened. And if it happened, it ain't a lighthouse. Because what lighthouse can stop above your head and put a beam down? So you just take one little piece of it and the lighthouse theory is evaporated. But let me just tell you a side effect of this. I've done many documentaries over the years, some with terrestrial TV like Channel 4, Channel 5. Right, the last 2 I've got involved in, Channel 4 and Channel 5, I said to them, you've not got a very good record of doing decent documentaries on UFOs. And they go, oh yeah, no, we're serious about this one. We're going to oh, great, okay. I said, well, I'll tell you, I'll give you a challenge. I said, I will give you a world exclusive, but I'm saying to you, you will not use it in the final edit. Oh, we will. I said, here's the challenge then. I'm going to show you the field where I went with Colonel Holt. I've identified the field, nobody else has. And this is the field where the beam came down at his feet. I'll take you to that location. It's never been shown in any documentary. Are you interested? Oh yeah, we're interested. So we go, film it. Is it in the final edit? No. Who wins the bet? Me. Why? Clever editing, because in the final bit the presenter goes, so, multiple nights, multiple witnesses, was it a UFO? Or was it a lighthouse? They could not have used that open-ended lighthouse bit if they'd have included that sequence in the field.
If it was a lighthouse, they should have been chasing it every night.
Well, that's the whole point. Well, but here's the thing is, Holt used to take people out to the lighthouse for a visit. So he knew where it was, and in reality, in the weapons storage area, which I worked on 2 of them, at Honington in Suffolk, same county, and in Labrook in what was then West Germany, you have the weapons storage area with the bunkers, and in the middle of it, or at one end of it, there is at least 1 tower that's manned 24/7, 365 days. Right? The site is about 30 to 40 people on shift at any one time. That proves the numbers alone, Rendlesham is, because a conventional bomb dump, 1 or 2. Yeah? Guards. Nuclear weapons, guarding 365, 24/7, 30 to 40 per shift. Alright? So the numbers were mixed up. But the tower, they have 1 tower that's higher, that's about 80 feet high. And it's purposely higher so that it has a full 360 for the guy in the tower. And in the top of the tower, they have a miniature layout of the entire site, like a model. And it has all the alarm settings that can be triggered by rabbits, because it's a microwave, right? Because they have an outer stereo fence and an inner fence, and it's microwaved. So if anybody tries to break through the fence, it triggers an alarm. The alarm is triggered on this big board. So the guy in the top of the tower, it's 80 feet. The trees are not allowed to go more than 40 feet. So he gets the perspective of 360. So the guy in the tower knows where the Orford Lighthouse is. Every shift he's up there, because he goes, lighthouse.